Antonio Conte has managed to secure Tottenham Champions League football. It is such a huge achievement with the squad that we have got. In this video today, I'm going to be ranking the Tottenham Hotspur squad of the 2021-22 season. As you can see here, I've got my tier ranking template all set and ready, and let's get cracking on. And the first player that we're going to be starting with is Hugo Laurice. Now, Hugo Laurice has had a little bit of a decline this season. He's made some shocking mistakes here and there, like the one against Man City, where he just pushed the ball away. But there's been other times as well where he has really saved us as a club. I thought he was brilliant in the North London derby. For me, even though Hugo Laurice has aged, I still think that he remains our most important goalkeeper. First team football. I don't think he's quite there on the elite levels compared to other players, but he is definitely a very high important, I would say. So for that reason, I am putting Laurice on important. Now, next thing is Harry Kane. There's really not much I need to say about him. He had a bit of a slow start under Nuno Espirito Santo, but as soon as Conte took over, Kane started hitting net again. Really turned up in certain games like against Liverpool at home or against City away and in the North London derby too. I mean, I don't think there's any point even talking anymore. Of course, he's going to go on elite. Right, next we got Bryan Gil, who we signed in the summer, last summer that is, and then we loaned him out again, loaned him out to Valencia. I mean, Bryan Gil is clearly hitting form in La Liga, but does he have the capabilities of it in the Premier League? I really don't know. He's been ranked as one of the most promising young prospect players in Spain, so I don't think that, you know, he's got to go or is on a meh. I feel like he will have a brief chance coming to the next season, I believe, but he might get loaned out again. But he's definitely a prospect, so I think Bryan Gil definitely deserves to go on prospect. Right, next is Emerson Royal. Now, Emerson Royal had a very critical start to the league. He was not popular at all since Matt Doherty's injury, though, when he's had to step up more. He's definitely been liked a lot more. The thing about Emerson Royal is that he actually has shown some qualities on the pitch as a defender, but there's differences between being a right back and a right wing back. And one of those main things that is so exposed about him not being a right wing back is his reluctance to get forward and cross a ball. And even in his best form, he still does that. I don't really want to go too harsh on Emerson Royal, but, you know, right wing back, he just ain't that. Right back, maybe he is, but Conte plays a back five. And we do really badly need to shape up in the wing-back department. If we actually compare the two between Emerson Royal and Matt Doherty here, I think that one of them has to stay and one of them has to go. For me, Matt Doherty has also had a very slow start. I mean, he's been at the club for 2 years now, and, you know, his first season, it just wasn't great at all. I'd have probably stuck him on has to go. But since stepping up and since playing under Conte's formation, Doherty has really, really improved. He's even scored goals like he would do at Wolves, getting up there in the wing at the final third. So, for me, I think Matt Doherty has got to go on squad depth. And listen, I know it's harsh and it's been one season, but one of them has to go. We really need to shape up on getting a proper right wing back. Someone who actually gets there forward and crosses, you know, which Matt Doherty does, to be fair. Maybe not perfectly, but he does have those attributes. But for me, Emerson Royal just doesn't have that. And I think he's just got to go. Right, next is Joe Rhoden. Now, Joe Rhoden, I think it's harsh on the kid, to be fair, to say that he has to go already. I know that there's interest for him. I know that he was very popular and really liked at Swansea, but we just haven't seen enough of him. For context of man means that I'm basically not sure what to make out of him. And if he goes or if he stays, it doesn't make a neither impact for us. I mean, if the money's right, then maybe it might be worth getting rid of him. But do we really want to get rid of someone that early? I don't know. I think for now, I'm going to be nice. And I'm going to stick Joe Rhoden on prospect or loan. So, you know, I don't think we should be getting rid of him just yet. Okay, next is Eric Dyer. Now, Eric Dyer has had a huge improvement in this starting 11. He's part of a back three that involves Romero, Ben Davis. Conte really bigs Dyer up, and to be fair to Dyer, I have seen the improvements, but does he have what it takes to be a first team player? And in my opinion, I think he's very high squad depth and low important. I say that because there's just such a significant difference between Romero and Dyer. I'll get into Romero a little bit later, but for me, I still feel like Dyer has still made some of the standard, typical mistakes you've seen Dyer do over the years. He even did it the other day against Norwich, where he gave the ball away and Norwich had a counter-attack. I think for me, Dyer has to go on squad depth, but we need to have a better centre-back than Dyer. I don't think we as a club going forward in Champions League should have someone like Eric Dyer in first-team football. We need to up our standards a bit. It's a very high squad depth for me. Dyer goes on squad depth. Okay, next is Celso. I mean, listen, he hasn't hit form at Tottenham. He's had some pretty pathetic-looking crosses and passes, if I do say so myself. If it's working out with him at Villarreal, then very well, fine, fair enough. Sometimes players just don't work out at Tottenham, but they succeed at better clubs. And yeah, I mean, there's loads of La Liga clubs that definitely want him. We need the money, so Celso has to go. Right, Ryan Cessnan is next, and I've got to say as well, Ryan Cessnan also had a bit of a shaky start. I mean, he got sent off at a Conference League game where we ended up losing. But since then, he's been picking up his form a bit. The only thing about Ryan Cessnan, really, which is the same old, and we've said this since day one of signing him, is that he doesn't take his man on. But his crosses have improved. He is definitely making himself more involved on the pitch. There's no question of that. Ryan Cessnan has definitely earned himself more time at Tottenham. I know as well that loan move to Hoffenheim really benefited him, and why a back five benefits with him under Conte. Yep, Cessnan, he has got to go on squad depth for me. Right, next is a ginger from Sweden, Kulusevski. Now, Kulusevski had a questionable start. I think his first game was against Brighton in the FA Cup. Lacked a lot of speed, but he has proven that as someone who plays either on the attack or on the wing, that you don't need speed. And one of the things about Kulusevski is his distribution, it's his crossing, and it's his technical ability on the ball. Kulusevski has just shown such an instant impact. For me, it's either a very high important or low elite. And I don't want to big the guy too much, but I think he needs to go on elite. You cannot... Look at these stats on the screen, yeah? This is the impact that we had in January when we weren't even anywhere near the top four. Kulusevski comes in and we finish in the Champions League just like that. Kulusevski is a vital part of the attack. Okay, next is our Italian goalkeeper and second goalkeeper, Goalini. Now, seen him like few games and, you know, he's just nowhere near the levels of Hugo Laurice, I've got to be honest. I know he had a very good spell at Atlanta, but I'm not seeing that Atalanta Goalini. I'm just seeing a very Spursy Goalini. I don't like using that phrase, but, you know, I've just not been impressed with the way he's been playing. I know he's had very few opportunities and chances. Is going on meh for me. Okay, next is Steven Bergwein. Steven Bergwein obviously is loved by the fans for that infamous comeback against Leicester City. I'm going to compare the two with Lucas Moura because they're both pretty much the same position, and I'm in the same verdict, in my opinion, where one of them has to stay and one of them has to go. I think that Stevie Bergwein should be used for squad depth. He can even be used as the occasional wing back if needed, because I still feel like with his age, he has still got something that he's able to offer. Lucas Moura, though, I feel like, listen, Lucas Moura, I absolutely love. I will always, always love that night at Ajax, what he did for us that night in Amsterdam. But sometimes, you know, you've got to just get rid of your sentimental values and just understand that by going forward as a club, I don't think we can keep hold of Lucas Moura for much longer. Okay, next is Tanganga. Now, Tanganga is a tricky one for me. It's either prospect or loan or meh. Do you know what? He's had one bad season. I'm going to stick him on prospect or loan. It's weird as well, considering the fact that, you know, he had a great first game of the season against City and then his standards were slowly dropping. We particularly saw that against Chelsea. Right, next is Tanguy Ndombele. From what I'm reading, Lyon don't want him. We don't want him. Naturally gifted on the ball, but a terrible attitude and doesn't really look after his fitness very well. Yeah, he's got to go, man. And it pains me to say this because I really did like Ndombele, but... like I said, sometimes it just won't work out. Oliver Skipp, one of our own, has shown him... we haven't seen enough of him, but he has shown some excellency, especially with a partnership with Højbjerg, because we need midfielders for squad depth. So I'm going to stick him there. He's shown himself to be a quality player for Norwich. And this season as well, he has shown moments of excellency too on the ball, especially with his partner up with Højbjerg. Okay, next is Regulon. A lot of the fans are not happy with him. Listen, my initial feeling is that he was good for Tottenham in his first 6 months, slowly started to decline. He's a left back, and then to play as a left wing back, he was getting exposed too much. His crossing and shooting has just been poor as well, and this is what we need from a wing back, someone who can cross and shoot. Listen, I'm only going to get rid of Regulon if we actually have someone to replace who's better and Champions League / first team quality. So I think I'm just going to be sticking Regulon on Met, to be honest with you. If he stays or if he goes, whatever happens, we need to sign someone better first, in my opinion. Right, next is Bentancur, one of the other signings that we signed from Juventus along with Kulusevski. And I think for me, Bentancur has just been brilliant. I wouldn't quite put him on elite, but Bentancur has really helped out in a lot of games, especially dropping back and acting as another centre-back, saving his own teammates, his retain of possession of the ball, his decision-making with passing. There's been certain games as well at the same time where he just hasn't been great, like against Brighton and Man United. So that's the only thing where I feel like he needs to work on himself a bit when he's getting exposed or goes missing. He needs to find another way to put himself out there on the team. I think for me, Bentancur is on a very, very strong, important. I think that's probably fair enough to say. Next for me is Ben Davies, and I've got to say, I've got to give a lot of credit to Ben Davies. I think Ben Davies, playing in a position that isn't his primary position, that's down to Conte's work. But there is a saying, managers can turn players much better, and I think Ben Davies is an example of it. I think Ben Davies will be like one of them players like Liverpool have with Jordan Henderson and James Milner, or Chelsea have with Azpilicueta in the past, where, you know, he's just going to be staying, and he might even end up retiring. You know, we like I said with Eric Dyer, we need a proper centre-back. We need 3 ideal proper centre-backs. You know, Eric Dyer, who started off as a full-back / CDM. Ben Davies, who is a left-back. We need a proper centre-back, but with squad depth, Ben Davies can come on and see games out, or, you know, be there if someone gets injured, let's say. Okay, next is Carter Vickers. I don't really know what to say about him, really. It's never worked out with him at Tottenham. He's tried. It hasn't worked out. It's working well with him at Celtic. He's just won the SPL with them. Maybe that's where Carter Vickers' level is at. So, you know, has to go. Hopefully they've got a fee. Romero has just been solid. Listen, outside of your Van Dijks and your Rudigers, I think Romero is just up there. Romero is one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League. His double tackle that he did against, I think it was Leicester, I believe, it just shows why it's day and night comparison between him and Dyer. Dyer, he just clears the ball, hoofs it out, a player wins it. Romero, he is creative as a centre-back, and you rarely see that with a centre-back. Romero has just transformed our defence completely, and he's going on elite. Okay, we've got Jack Clark now. I mean, it's not worked out for him, but at the same time, I do feel for the guy as well. I know that he had issues with seizures, I believe it was. Had that with QPR. When he was at Leeds as well, we signed him on a loan to buy the next transfer window, I think it was, or the next season. And all of a sudden, he gets put on the bench. I don't know if that was like some punishment from the Leeds coaching staff. I do feel for the guy a bit. Obviously, he contributed and helped out with Sunderland to their promotion to the Championship. I'm going to stick him on Meh, but maybe I might change my mind and he could move up to prospect or loan. I just honestly don't know what to make out of Jack Clark. Yeah. Okay, Højbjerg. All right, Højbjerg's a bit of a hit and miss for me. Sometimes, you know, he can just make some very questionable passing. Cannot shoot. Cost us a game against Liverpool. But having said that as well, he's been rock solid in the middle. Has helped us out a lot of the times. For me, it's between squad depth and important. It's either a very high squad depth or a low important. I just feel like we could have some better CDMs out there. I know that Conte values him a lot, but at the same time, us as fans do get frustrated when we just see such a limited player. And we've seen this too many times from him in the past. Even in the League Cup final, you know, I just feel like Højbjerg, he's got to be doing a lot more than just bashing into players or passing short passes, passing it back, etc. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to stick him on important. I still feel like we need to have a team that works around his system. I mean, Davidson Sanchez, we need to get rid of players. We need to get rid of the deadwood. So, for me, I think Davidson Sanchez has just simply got to go. He's been good the last few games, but we've also seen some very brain-dead moments from him. Let's just not forget about that. The same with Harry Winks as well. I mean, Harry Winks just doesn't have that Premier League quality as a midfielder. And I think, you know, let's not get sentimental just because he's one of our own. He's really shown a lack of quality throughout the games. Okay, he can ping a ball occasionally, but you've got to be doing more than that, especially now that we've just finished in the top 4 and we've qualified for Champions League. So, you know, you've got to act like a big club. And do big clubs keep hold of players like Harry Winks? Well, in my opinion, definitely not. So, has to go. And last, and certainly not least, we have got Sonaldo, Heung-min Son, Golden Boot winner. I think it's a disgrace that he hasn't even been nominated for PFA. The fact that he's joint goal scorer with Mo Salah, bearing in mind he hasn't even scored any penalties, but Mo Salah gets a nomination for Player of the Year. I think there's just some clear agenda and clear bias here. Son has arguably been our best player. Even better than Kane, I would say, for this season. Son has just been so crucial for us. Scoring goals, making magic work in attack. And, you know, I'm not saying this because Son benefits my channel. I'm genuinely saying this. We are gifted to have a player like Heung-min Son who loves the club and wants to play for us. I mean, he's a Golden Boot winner. The facts speak for itself. You know, there's only one spot he has to go, and it's on elite.